So, I knew this was one of the best sci fi movies of all time when I got scared on an existential level because I found myself cheering with the crowds. Dune 2 is, in my opinion, one of the best sci fi movies of this decade, if not all time. Its writing, its cinematography, sound design, editing, VFX, everything. Director Denis Villeneuve hit the mark on this one. So, a quick plot synopsis for those of you who haven't read the book or seen the movies. This is Paul Atreides, the heir to House Atreides. He and his family were granted control of the desert planet of Arrakis, home to the magic LSD sand known as spice, or at least before the evil House Harkonnen wiped out the Atreides, killed Paul's dad, and sent him and his witch mother on the run in the desert. The movie follows Paul as he lives with the desert people of Arrakis, the Fremen, eventually becoming their messianic revolutionary known as the Lisan al-Gaib. Now, Dune 2 is miles ahead of the David Lynch movie in the 80s and the 2000 miniseries, and this is for several reasons. The first of which being that it looks absolutely amazing, but if you've seen literally anything to do with the movies, you already knew that. Case in point, the absolutely incredible Harkonnen scenes, particularly Feyd-Rautha's gladiator scene, which was actually filmed with infrared cameras instead of normal cameras. It serves to highlight the depravity of the Harkonnens, that, just like them, even their sun consumes light from the universe like a black hole. And even outside this, a lot of the shots in the movie have brilliant lighting and color grading. The first scene in the movie, for example, is just orange. The orange light of the sunset is so strong that everyone and everything from the desert to the Fremen's blue eyes is just various shades of orange and gray. It looks really nice. Director Denis Villeneuve also places a lot of bright lights and dark shadows, particularly in the sieges, which makes them feel very real, as well as adding to a sense of mystery and, in some cases, vastness of the Fremen. The next thing I want to get into is this movie's devotion to realism. The movie places a lot of emphasis on how Paul learns the ways of the Fremen. Everything, down to the regional differences in Fremen spirituality, exactly how to ride the sandworms, sandwalking, still tents, and even more. It serves as a brilliant way to introduce the audience to this world, as well as making us celebrate and eventually fear when Paul successfully adapts to their culture. The natural world is also shown with exquisite detail. I swear I could taste the spice in the sand through the screen. And it's not just Arrakis either. Due to their home planet's weird sun, as I mentioned earlier, the Harkonnens physically cannot survive on Arrakis without protection from the sun, and they've become so polluted themselves that the only use the Fremen have for their water is as coolant for their still suits. I guarantee you, a lesser director would not have done this, let alone thought it important enough to give screen time. This movie also does something really interesting. Villeneuve makes a lot of several important changes from the source material. Usually these changes tend to be pretty negative in most other media I've seen, but aside from one scene of Paul's sister killing the Baron in the book, which I absolutely loved, these changes made the movies a lot better than the books in my opinion. Hot take. By far the best examples of this are Jessica, Paul's mother, and Chani, Paul's lover. In the books, Jessica is a relatively neutral figure. She still does a lot of the same things, but in the book she's not shown to be nearly as morally good or morally bad. In the movie, however, after she takes the water of life, she starts to communicate with her sentient unborn fetus, which is so weird and so uncomfortable, but it's weirdly compelling. But yeah, she straight up becomes a villain, manipulating Paul into becoming the Messiah and manipulating the Fremen into seeing Paul as the Lisan al-Gaib. It serves to make Paul's rise to power more intimidating, scary, and tragic. Then there's Chani, who is far more skeptical than she was in the books. Like in the books, she is a vessel by which we are meant to see Paul's arc. Early in the movie, she makes a promise that
you will never lose me as long as you stay who you are.
It makes the tragedy of Paul Atreides far more poignant as he takes a similar turn to Jessica after taking the water of life, becoming the Lisan al-Gaib in a truly terrifying and awe-inspiring display of power and breaking Chani's promise. Similar modifications can be seen in the rest of the characters. Paul's sister, Alia, is just a fetus in this movie, which adds a lot to the weird and uncomfortable nature of the movie, as I have said before. The Harkonnens have also been altered a fair bit. In the books, the crowd at the Harkonnen arena was forced to attend, and therefore silent. And on a more relevant note, the Baron Harkonnen had a lot of his theatricality, stripped from it in the movie, and several aspects of the Harkonnens' plan were removed, such as Feyd-Rautha's plot to assassinate the Baron, which served to make it less confusing and streamline the plot, while still making the Harkonnen seem extremely manipulative and ruthless. The last thing I want to get into is the soundtrack. Dune 2's music was composed, like the first one, by the legendary Hans Zimmer himself. Just like the first movie, he refrained from using many orchestral sounds, and instead went for a more alien approach, using many weird synth sounds, which I did not know could even be comprehended. It's absolutely amazing. Particular tracks I'd recommend are The Harkonnen Arena, Kiss the Ring, Worm Army, The Emperor, and Lisan al-Gaib. Wow, I'm saying that a lot this video. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Please, I cannot recommend this movie enough. For the love of Shai Hulud, watch this masterpiece. But anyway, that's all from me. This is Visions of Glory, pointing the way.